The roar of the Batmobile's engine was the only thing masking the deafening silence of Batman's failure. As the canopy slid open in the damp, jagged bowels of the Batcave, Bruce didn't jump out with his usual calculated grace. He stumbled. His boots hit the stone floor with a heavy, hollow thud that echoed against the cave walls like a funeral knell. He didn't remove the cowl. He couldn't. He felt that if he stripped away the mask, he would have to face the man who had watched his closest ally, his friend, be hauled into the abyss like a piece of livestock. He threw himself into the command chair, his gloved fingers flying across the keys with a desperate, frantic energy. The massive central monitor ignited, bathing the dark cave in a cold, clinical blue light. "Computer," Bruce rasped, his voice cracking. "Upload mask cam footage. Timestamp, the rooftop encounter. Segment, the abduction." The screen flickered to life. There was the GCPD roof. There was the bat signal, shattered and sparking. And there, in horrifying high definition, was the creature. It looked less like a living thing and more like a collection of nightmares stitched together with rotted leather and ancient spite. Batman slowed the footage down to a frame-by-frame crawl. He watched the moment the creature's wings unfurled. They weren't feathered like a bird's or membrane-thin like a bat's. They were thick, ribbed with what looked like calcified veins. "Analyze skin density," he commanded. The AI chirped, a progress bar flickering. "Analysis. Non-organic reinforcement detected. Dermis composition, unknown. Durability rating, beyond known terrestrial biology." "It didn't even flinch," Bruce whispered to the empty cave. "The 9mm rounds, the blunt force trauma, even the thermite. It was like hitting a mountain." He leaned back, rubbing his temples where the pressure of the cowl was beginning to cause a throbbing ache. He began to overlay the footage of the fight with the previous crime scene photos. He looked at the tooth marks on the first victim. Then he looked at the creature's mocking smile on the rooftop. They matched, but the motive remained a void. "Alfred," Bruce said into the comms, though he knew the butler was likely already on his way down. "It didn't kill Jim on the roof. It had every chance to tear him apart there, just like the woman in the East End, but it took him. Why?" He looked at the victims again. The young man, the elderly woman, the middle-aged man. "It's not just killing," he realized, his blood turning to ice. "It's selecting. It's a scavenger looking for specific parts. And Jim was a target of opportunity." Bruce stood up and walked to the edge of the sublevel, looking out over the dark water of the cave's natural pool. The disappointment was a physical weight in his chest. He was the world's greatest detective. He had spent years mastering every martial art, every science, every tactical advantage known to man. And yet, in the face of this thing, he had been a child throwing pebbles at a hurricane. "I promised him," Bruce muttered, his jaw tightening so hard the muscles in his neck stood out. "I promised this city that they would be safe under my watch, and I let a monster carry the police commissioner into the clouds." He thought of the fear in Gordon's eyes, not the fear of death. Gordon had faced death 1,000 times, but the fear of the unknown, the fear of being taken by something that didn't speak, didn't demand, and didn't care for the laws of men. He returned to the console, his eyes narrowing with a renewed, cold fury. If his gadgets couldn't break the creature's skin, he would find what could. If his fists couldn't stop it, he would find its heart. "Computer, expand the search parameters. Discard all criminal databases. Search folklore, occult sightings, and unexplained aerial phenomena within a 300-mile radius of Gotham." The computer began to whir, processing millions of documents, old newspapers, and forgotten urban legends. Bruce Wayne sat in the heart of his sanctuary, a lonely shadow against the glow of the monitors. He was no longer just a detective. He was a man possessed.
He wouldn't sleep, he wouldn't eat, and he wouldn't stop until he found where that leathery winged horror had taken his friend.
The blue glow of the Bat computer illuminated the deepening lines of exhaustion on Bruce's face. He'd been digging through the digital archives for hours, discarding theories of genetic experiments and biological mutations, when the AI flagged a corrupted file from a small-town Florida Gazette dated 2003. The headline was simple, yet chilling. Church of the Ashes, local legend or maniac? Batman's gloved finger traced the grainy image of a burnt-out basement beneath an old chapel. There, amidst the soot, was a pipe, a literal tapestry of human remains stitched together like a macabre chimney. And in the corner of one photo, a blurred, winged shape was seen perched on a highway sign. It was the same creature, the same hat, the same prehistoric hunger. Florida, Bruce whispered. The realization hit him with the force of a physical blow. He didn't just have a killer on his hands, he had a ticking clock. If the legend was true, the creature was nearing the end of its feeding cycle, and it was stocking up for the long sleep. The Batwing tore through the night sky, its stealth dampeners engaged as it crossed state lines. Bruce didn't take the time to change. He stayed in the suit, the cowl retracted just enough for him to breathe the humid, heavy air of the Florida countryside. He landed miles away and approached the site on foot, a shadow moving through the tall, whispering sawgrass. The area felt cursed. The site of the church was nothing more than a blackened scar on the earth, reclaimed by weeds and silence. But as Batman scanned the horizon with thermal optics, he spotted a flickering light, a porch lamp on a dilapidated farm about a half-mile down the road. The farmhouse looked like it was held together by nothing but rust and memory. As Batman ghosted onto the property, he saw a man sitting in a creaky rocking chair. The man was old, his skin like parchment, a heavy harpoon gun leaning against the railing next to him. Batman stepped into the light. The old man jumped, his hand flying to the harpoon. "Creeper!" he shrieked, his voice thin and jagged. "Back for the rest of me, you winged devil?" "I'm not the creature," Batman said, his voice a low, grounding rumble. He kept his hands visible, away from his belt. "My name is Batman. I'm here because it took someone I care about." The old man, Jack Taggart, lowered the weapon slowly, his eyes narrowing as he took in the dark, armored figure. "You look like a shadow, son, but he looks like death. If he's got your friend is already gone. He's probably just a heartbeat and a set of lungs by now." Batman stepped onto the porch, his presence looming but non-threatening. "Tell me what you know. I've seen the reports from 23 years ago. I know you fought it." Taggart let out a hollow laugh. "Fought it? I pinned it to a wall in my barn. I watched it go dormant with a steel bolt through its head. I waited 23 years for it to wake up so I could finish it. But it was faster this time, stronger." For the next hour, the old man spoke of things that challenged even Batman's scientific mind. He spoke of the creeper's physiology, how it wasn't just a monster, but a biological scavenger that replaced its own failing organs with those of its victims. "If it eats a heart, its heart keeps beating. If it eats eyes, it sees better than a hawk," Taggart rasped. "It smells fear. Not just fear, it smells the specific scent of the organ it wants. It's not just killing, it's shopping." "What are its weaknesses? Fire? Trauma? I've hit it with everything I have." Taggart looked at the horizon, his eyes watering. "That's the thing. You don't defeat it. You just survive it until its time is up. It's an ancient machine. You can break it, but it just heals. You can burn it, and it smells like a barbecue from hell, but it keeps coming. There's no heart to pierce that isn't already stolen from someone else." "There has to be a way," Batman insisted, his thoughts drifting back to Gordon. "It's a force of nature, Shadow Man.
You might as well try to punch a hurricane, Taggart said, turning his chair away. Go home. Bury an empty casket for your friend, because by the time you find that thing's lair, there won't be enough of the commissioner left to recognize.
The flight back to Gotham was the longest of Bruce's life. The information he had gained was invaluable, yet devastating. He now knew the name of his enemy, the Creeper. He knew its cycle. He knew that it was currently rebuilding itself using the citizens of Gotham, and that Jim Gordon was likely being kept as a spare part. But he also knew that Taggart was wrong about one thing. Batman didn't accept impossible. When the Batwing finally touched down in the cave, the atmosphere had shifted. The sadness and disappointment were still there, but they were being overwritten by a cold, calculating fury. Bruce stepped out of the craft, his cape billowing behind him like a storm cloud. He walked straight to the armory. "Alfred," Bruce said, his voice echoing off the limestone walls. The butler appeared from the shadows, his face etched with concern. "Master Bruce, what did you find in the south?" "I found a nightmare that has been repeating itself for centuries. It can't be killed by conventional means because it isn't a conventional organism. It's a patchwork of every victim it has ever consumed." He pulled out a set of prototype gauntlets, reinforced with nth metal isotopes and a high-frequency sonic emitter. "If it smells fear, then I'm going to give it a scent it has never encountered before. I'm going to show it what happens when the predator becomes the prey." He began to strip off his standard suit, preparing a heavier, more experimental armor, one designed for atmospheric re-entry and extreme blunt force trauma. He wasn't just preparing for a fight, he was preparing for an execution. "I'm going back out, Alfred. I don't care about the 23-year cycle. I don't care if it's immortal. It has Jim, and in Gotham, that is a death sentence." As the heavy plates of the new armor locked into place with a series of metallic clicks, the Batcomputer finished its final scan of the city's sewer systems and abandoned subway tunnels, flagging a massive spike in thermal activity beneath an old cathedral in the Diamond District. Batman grabbed his belt, his jaw set in stone. The time for investigation was over. The final hunt had begun.